Fortune TV. In this live stream, I'm going to talk about my top ways and most effective ways on how to reinvent yourself, because I've reinvented myself over 10 times, like so much more than that. And I really wanted to share with y'all my top tips on how I did that. So let's get into it. I got my notes right here with me to the right, and we're just going to keep it cozy and chill, and that's what we're going to do. So, like I said, let's get into it. Let me just look at my notes real quick. Okay, so first of all, what does it mean to reinvent yourself? That's like the first question, because a lot of people, I think they have a misconception about what it means to reinvent yourself. A lot of people are like, oh, it's not for me, or I don't need to do that. But I think that we are all here to really grow in some aspect of our lives, right? And sometimes reinventing ourselves doesn't have to be this big, huge transformation. Now, it can be, but it doesn't have to be that. It can be something small, like, oh, I just want a promotion, right? Because even the version of you who had the job before the promotion is going to be different than the person who has the promotion, right? Not just in like a embodiment sense, but also in the sense that like you're going to be doing different work. Maybe it's a leadership position, so you need to start stepping into that leader part of yourself, right? So you really need to start thinking about that, because like I said, reinvention is not just about this big transformation. It's about really changing different aspects of your life to really make your life happier and healthier and more whole. So when we start to reinvent ourselves or glow up, we're kind of like peeling back the layers, right? Kind of like how a snake sheds its skin. That I feel like that's what that's what humans do. Like when we reinvent ourselves, but like for real, like we're peeling back our old selves, our old skeletons, so that a new version of ourselves can emerge. Our old skeleton, maybe not old skeleton, but like the old skin, right? Um, and sometimes it's like, our environment or the world kind of forces us to do that, right? Which is sometimes can be a very quick experience. And sometimes when it's a quick experience, it's not the most comfortable. But from my experience, I've learned how to do this in a very kind of consistent way, and in a way that is a little bit more comfortable than that quick kind of snap. Oh, you broke through and you had that big transformation. And you can do that. There's ways of doing that. But for this video, I wanted to focus on the more like, okay, let's do this like kind of inch by inch, day by day. So, so why reinvent yourself, right? A lot of people who maybe might not know what reinvention is, they want to know like why would I even reinvent myself in the first place, right? And people have different reasons for this. Sometimes they want, a life partner, or sometimes they want to have more money in their life. And usually when we say money, it's more like you want a certain thing in your life, right? It's not necessarily the money, it's like what you can get with the money, the house, the car, the endless vacations if you want. So people use reinvention for different aspects. Maybe you want a child, okay? So if you want a child, you're gonna have to reinvent yourself in a different way. You're gonna have to start thinking about, what do I need to do or what does a mother do? What does the mother version of me do, right? The 20-year-old version of me, or not even 20-year-old, but like the young single version of me, she's gonna be very different from, the older, more mature version of me that's a mom, right? And I'm not saying that like age, how do I put this? You could be a mom at any age, but I'm just saying that being a mom, not at any age, but that's I guess that's controversial, right? But my point is, no matter what the universe decides, you're gonna become a mom, or whatever age the universe decides you'll be a mom at. Being a mother itself is like a whole level of maturity that like I don't even have. Like, and even if you are single until you're like 40 or 50, you will never have, right? It's like it's a different version of you, right? So just really keep that in mind when you are talking about reinventing yourself. When we're talking about reinventing yourself, it's to really help you step into the reality that you are kind of desiring, right, in that moment. So why reinvent yourself? You reinvent yourself for you, basically. Okay. So the next thing I wanted to talk to you guys about is Oh, how to be the best version of yourself. So, like I said, I think the first part was more for people who are like, oh, I don't really want to change. I don't want to be the best version. And that's fine. If you're happy where you're at, if you're truly happy, you wake up every day excited and really like living it, like you're going to work, you're like, I'm living my best life. This is what I'm meant to do in my life. This is how I'm meant to feel. If you are feeling like that, then yeah, you probably don't need to do a lot more reinvention, right? Um, but if you're not feeling like that, let's go ahead and talk about what that best version of you feels like, what it means for you, right? So you kind of have to do a little bit of investigating. And at the end of this video, I'm gonna give you guys some journal prompts to help you kind of investigate that aspect of yourself, of what does it mean to be the best version of yourself. What does that look like? But you really have to do some investigation, right? You need to really write down, think about, journal. And if you don't like writing, you can also make a video about this, or even just make a voice recording on your phone about this, and just kind of talk about what does it really look like. And sometimes you really have to sit down, like, what does it feel like? What is it gonna smell like, right? That's another thing. It's like, if you want to be like this glowed up version, are you gonna wear a different perfume? Are you gonna wear any perfume at all? Like, are you gonna wear like certain essential oil? That's kind of my thing. I don't really do perfume, but I'll do like my little essential oils, or I'll put some kind of fragrance in my hair. That's usually how I do it. But anyway, um, how are you going to be the best version of yourself, right? And how are you going to commit to that? That's like a whole nother thing you need to like really acknowledge. How are you going to commit to that? And actually, like, if you sign up for my email chain, you will get ways of how to commit to your best version of yourself every week. So you can check that out. Link is in the description below. And that's completely for free. But really, to be the best version of yourself, it does take a level of commitment. And it does take a level of commitment to being uncomfortable, because you have to be uncomfortable to allow change to happen. When a tree grows a new branch, I'm pretty sure it's not the most comfortable thing for the tree, right? They have to, I don't know, send all of these I don't know, but anyway, they have to send all of these nutrients to that one part of the branch, and they have to really force their energy into that part of the branch to kind of grow, right? And it's the same thing with people. Like, when we're kids and we have to, I mean, we have no choice. We have to grow, right? We have to physically, our body has to tell our legs, our arms, all of the parts of our body, you have to become bigger. It hurts, right? We get growing pains. And so you have to acknowledge that part or that aspect of growth, that aspect of reinventing yourself, of being your best version. It is, the challenges that come with that. It is sometimes the acts of letting go, and that can be painful, but that can also not be painful if you choose to not allow it to be painful. It's like a huge aspect of that also. So really just use that reinvention of yourself to really be your best version. And let me know. Let me know if that made, I feel like I said a lot. But if it didn't make sense, comment below and we'll answer it through the comments or make another video about it. But y'all have to remind me. You have to remind me, because girl, I have a lot that I'm doing and I forget. So, okay, so how to reinvent yourself after a breakup. So the best way, in my opinion, to reinvent yourself after a breakup, because this is something that a lot of people have come to me about. How do you reinvent yourself after a breakup? Because breakups can be very challenging, and it's kind of good. It's good if they are challenging, right? It's good if there was some emotional response from you after a breakup, right? Because that means that you actually cared about the person. Now, if you have no emotional response after the breakup, that's so you got to do some deep digging on that. That's really deep digging. Because that's like, you didn't even care about the person at that point. So that's pretty hard. You need to really dig deep about that. But if not, if you have emotions, if you are like crying after the breakup, reacting, responding some way, that's a good thing, because it means that you cared about the person, and that there's some stuff that you have to work at, right? Instead of just burying it deep down. And some of us have done that in the past. But anyway, so my favorite way to reinvent myself after a breakup is through travel. Oh my God. I think after like all of my major breakups, And some of the reasons I broke up with those people was because I wanted to travel, because I kind of felt the tug of that kind of, or the tug of my new version of myself. So I was like, look, this is not going to work out. We need to try to make it work, but if it's not working, then we got to break up, right? And but travel really allowed me to kind of just move on. You know, it was like I didn't get stuck in like, oh, I miss them, I miss our lifestyle, I miss having that person to talk to. Traveling like really allowed me to be like, oh, I'm in a new country. That's in the past. I don't have to, I don't have to deal with it anymore. It's like I didn't have time to deal with it anymore. I was in a new environment. I was in a new place. I was meeting new people. I was having new experiences. I was living my best life. And it allowed me to really focus on that new version of myself instead of staying focused on the past, right? On that version of myself that was in that relationship. And I love traveling. I love traveling for this reason. This is why I have my shorts. This is why I talk about safety in traveling, because that's a huge hurdle for a lot of people, is like how to, or not how to, but a lot of hurdle for people is when it comes to traveling is like the safety aspect of it. So I talk about that in the shorts, and I give people different advices and tips on how to do that. In my own way, of course. But really, I show you guys a lot of what not to do, really, what not to do when you travel. But I think it's the best school after a breakup. And not even just like, for reinventing yourself, but also for kind of processing what happened in that relationship, or processing, why you were in that relationship in the first place. Travel really helps with that. And I think solo travel especially, because you are having time with yourself, hopefully. And again, I'll help you guys at the end of this video with a journal prompts on how to kind of make that solo travel a travel experience work for you. But anyway, so back to what I was saying. What was I saying? This y'all, hold on now. Reinvent yourself after a breakup. Okay, so nope, I lost my train of thought. Sorry, y'all. Maybe it'll come back to me. This is like why I should not do live streams, but I like live streams because like I can just really be myself, and myself, she forgets. She forgets what path she was on. So anyway, not what path she was on, but y'all get it. Y'all get it. Let's move on. Okay, so oh right. So when you solo travel, being alone, having that time to yourself. And I know that scares a lot of y'all, but solo travel is a really, really great way of overcoming that fear. Being with yourself, it allows you to process what happened, what brought you to certain situations, what happened before the breakup or not before the breakup, but before the relationship that, made me go into that relationship. What happened during the breakup that not allowed, but kind of forced me to break up with that person. Like, solo travel really helps you make space for those kind of conversations that we need to have with ourselves in order to grow. That's what I wanted to say. Okay, so let's move on. So how to reinvent yourself in your 20s. And again, the way I reinvented myself a couple of different ways in my 20s. But I have to say, actually, all of those ways was through travel. Even if it was traveling within the United States or within even the state I was in, I still reinvented myself through travel, like each and every time. I'm really thinking now, like, yo, like actually, yeah, like, because like there's a period, like I think through half of my 20s, I didn't really travel like that at all. Like I stayed within the country, and maybe I traveled to different states, or I went on little weekend trips with my friends and stuff like that. But I didn't really travel until like the later half of my 20s, which I kind of recommend for traveling, to be honest, because there's some stuff that I kind of saw with people who were younger than me that I was like, not like, and I'm not trying to judge, like everybody has their experience, but I'm just really thankful that I had traveled in the later half of my 20s, because there's still lessons that I learned, but there were definitely lessons that would have been a lot harder to travel, and I would have had very different results if I had traveled when I was younger. But yeah, like traveling, like if you are in your 20s, if you are like 18 or 19, you girl, travel, please. Like, please travel. Like, This is your higher version or your older version of yourself who is successful, who is still living their best life. Travel now. Like, this is the time to do it. People wait way too late to travel. And this was one of the biggest tips that I had learned from my friends who were older than me, who I traveled with. They're like, yes, you're doing it right. Like, travel when you're young. Do not wait. Like, a lot of them, I mean, I think they still lived a really great life in their 20s, but a lot of them I did, like, you know, they did regret not traveling when they were younger. And they were always telling me, like, you're doing the right thing. Like, keep on doing it. And now I'm giving that knowledge to y'all. So if you're in your 20s and you watching this, girl, do it. Now, if you're in your 30s and you watching this on how to reinvent yourself through travel, you can still do it. If you're in your 40s, you can still do it. If you're in your 50s, you can still do it. 60s, 70s, 80s. I met I want to say 70, yeah, 70-year-old, and like 75 too. She was living her best life, traveling the world, solo traveling. Like, you can do this at any age, y'all. Any age. I would even say 80 and 90. Now, have I met a 90-year-old solo traveling? No, I have not. But I'm sure that day is soon to come, to be honest. Like, come on now. But yeah, reinvent yourself in your 20s. Traveling is the best way to do it. And you can do it through budget traveling. You don't have to have a bunch of money to do this. And actually, in the free, and one of the links below, one of the free things that I give y'all below, I think it's in the safety travel guide. I also talk about how to travel for free in there. So again, it's all in the description. But that's basically how to reinvent yourself in your 20s, right? Through travel. Now, let's get into the part that y'all have been waiting for, the journal prompts of how to reinvent yourself through travel. Now, if you are in my email chain, some of y'all were like, whoa, what is this, wellness activity for this week? Don't worry, I'm getting into it right now, okay? So, how to reinvent yourself in your, not in your 20s, but through traveling. And basically, I'm gonna give you guys 9 journal prompts of kind of how to set the intentions to reinvent yourself before a travel trip. Now, like I said earlier, this does not mean that you're traveling outside of the United States. This is for any type of travel, right? Whether it's within the States, whether it's for work, whether it's with your girlfriends, with your friends, whether it's just a quick weekend trip, you can use these journal prompts for any type of traveling scenario, even if it's a travel to like the next town over or to the city within the big city within your state. You can use these. So don't limit your thinking. And like when I say travel, like don't limit it to think that, oh, she means only outside of the United States or only outside of my country. That is not what I mean at all. When I say travel, I mean like low-key you're booking a hotel somewhere else, or you're staying with friends, or you're kind of getting out of the place that you're usually at. That's how I would put it. So let's get into it. So the first journal prompt, and this is like before you go on that travel trip, right? How can I spend more time knowing myself on this trip? This question can really help you turn that travel experience, especially for those of y'all who are doing that travel trip for work. It can really turn it so that it can benefit you even more and benefit your personal life, right? Sometimes we go on trips for work and it helps us in our career, but not really in other aspects. So really ask this question to help leverage it for you and benefit you. Number 2, how would my 2.0 version of myself prepare for this trip? So this is a really great question, and it's really fun too because it allows you to kind of step into that future version of yourself, step into that better version of yourself before the trip even starts, okay? And maybe even before you've even put in certain practices in place to get to that 2.0 version of yourself, right? So really ask yourself, like, what would she or he do in that, train of thought, like, girl, like, in that situation or on that travel trip? What would she, I guess for me, what would she eat? What would she drink? What would she do? How would she behave? That's the other thing, especially if it's a travel trip and it's a version of you who's now like the leader or like the leader of your company or your team. How would she behave? How and make it positive, obviously, but how would she behave? What would she do? Who would she talk to, right? The version of you who is the leader of this company, she's not necessarily going to talk to, well, maybe she'll stay with the staff or talk to the staff, but she's not going to stay there, right? She's going to introduce herself to the other leaders of other companies, right? So really put yourself in that mind frame. Girl, like really just do it. And it doesn't have to be, and for this to recognize, you don't have to put 10 things, and just choose one thing. What if the leader of me was going, or the leader version 2.0 version of me was going on this trip, what is one thing that she would do that would be different from the person that I was yesterday? Okay. The next one, what boundaries do I need to put in place to fulfill my personal goals for this trip? I say boundaries because when we do trips with groups, with friends, with coworkers, it's really easy for us to kind of do what the group wants to do. And so I say to put boundaries in place so that you can say, hey, you know, this one lunch, I'm not going to be with the group. I'm going to be doing my own thing. And, ooh, my stomach. Okay. I'm a little hungry, y'all. I'm definitely going to be eating after this. You know, set boundaries. You know, I'm not going to be with y'all for lunch, but for dinner, I'm definitely going to be there. Okay. We're definitely going to go out, do your thing. But set those boundaries in place so that you can accomplish those goals that you set for yourself during that travel trip. Okay, so during the trip, where in this itinerary can I practice a change that I want to occur in my life? So this is a great one. Because, you know, I think a lot of us, we are saying, oh, we're going to change then, we're going to do this then, we're going to, we get kind of, well, we kind of set that goal outside of the version that we are in this moment, if that makes sense. That makes sense. And then two, we get overwhelmed because then we're just like, oh my God, like this is the things that really stop us, right? We get overwhelmed. So we're like, oh my goodness. You know, I don't know if I can do that every day. I don't know if I can do all of these things every day to change, to be the person who I want to be. And this question allows you to kind of pause for a second. Okay. And, oh, hold on. Looking at the wrong question. And choose one moment. Choose one thing where you can commit to being that version of yourself. Just once. That's it. Just once. You don't have to do it twice. Just once. That's it. Okay? And you're specifically choosing where in the plan you're going to do this. Okay? So that you can somewhat commit to it. Now, this is a little bit more challenging for those of you who are trying to overcome a fear. I will say this, right? You're going to feel your heart rate accelerate a little bit, especially if it's like, for example, public speaking, right? You're like, okay, I'm going to ask one question during the conference. You have to kind of prepare and be like, okay, in the past, what has happened when I have tried to raise my hand for a conference, right? Or to answer a question or ask a question during a conference. You know, for me personally, it's like my heart rate goes up. I procrastinate on asking the question. And then sometimes I'll procrastinate so much, I won't even ask the question, or I'll wait for somebody else to ask it. Or, you know, somebody else will ask the same question and be like, oh, great, I don't have to ask a question anymore. So like kind of prepare for those habits that we've kind of developed in the past so that we can overcome the obstacle in the moment. Okay, so did I plan to make time for myself? That's the next question. If not, where can I fit it in? Okay, so this is like if you're on the travel trip and it's like 2 days in or halfway in, you're like, oh my God, I didn't do the thing that I was supposed to do. Pause for a second, take 10 minutes. If you need to, if you're on like a group trip or a travel trip, just go to the bathroom real quick. Take the 10 minutes in that space, okay, in the stall, and be like, okay, how can I figure this out in this moment? Make time for yourself, and where can you fit it in? Okay, the second one, I think the sixth one. What would the glow up me version do in this moment? So if there's a situation that happens, let's say you got a stain on your shirt and the group wants to take a picture. You got to ask yourself, what would the glow up version of me do in this moment, right? For me, what would she do? I think she would like very like cleverly cover up the stain with her purse, you know, or in some way. I think that's definitely what I would do now, to be honest, like for real. That's what I would do. But just think about what would she or he do in that moment. The next one, did I follow? So the next one, the next 3 questions for these journal prompts are more about after the travel experience. So the first one is, did I follow through with what I said I would do on this trip for me? Let's read that one more time, because that was a lot. Did I follow through with what I said I would do on this trip for me? Okay, that's a lot. That's a song, y'all. That's bars right there. But anyway, is it a bar? I don't think it's a bar, but it's a verse. I'll give it a verse. Okay. Anyway, so did I follow through with it? Ask yourself this, and really try to. This is one thing that I like doing that I think I did even in school, and I got in trouble for. Bend the rules a little bit with this. Okay. How do I put this? Let's say you had a big goal for your travel experience. You said, okay, I'm going to eat out. Yeah, you told yourself, I'm going to go to a restaurant by myself. It's after the trip ends, you didn't do that. Try to think of a way that you did do that, like kind of inadvertently, right? Or like kind of indirectly. Did you go to a cafe by yourself? Did you go to the the AM PM by yourself? Like, what was something that you did do by yourself? Doesn't necessarily have to be a restaurant. And this really allows you to kind of put yourself in the mindset of like, oh wait, actually girl, yes, we did do something by ourselves. We went to the cafe by ourselves. And that might not be like exactly what you wanted or exactly what you envisioned, but it's a step in the right direction. It's still allowing you to give yourself credit for doing something to put yourself back in the lane of getting to your target, or getting to that version of yourself that you are becoming. Okay, the next one. What happened today? No, what happened today? What happened on this trip that might not have been in alignment with my 2.0 version? So this is an important question, okay? Because sometimes we really have to acknowledge the times when we do stuff that's not in alignment. We got to acknowledge it, okay? We got to acknowledge it, okay? So maybe you did something petty. And that new version of yourself doesn't align with that version, okay? Well, maybe. Hopefully not. I mean, maybe for some of y'all are like, no, my 3.0, 2.0 version, she's still petty. Sure, but, you know, try to work through that, you know? But really acknowledge that and kind of work through that, okay? The next journal prompt and the last one is, what did I do on this trip that did align with my 2.0 version? And even like I said earlier, even if it's just one small thing, acknowledge it, celebrate it, really tell yourself, no, I did that. You know, I talked to that one person, that one exec during the conference, or I really branched out and I talked to that one stranger at the, I don't want to say bar, but I talked to that one stranger, okay, I guess I said it, at the bar. Or I talked to that one stranger at the museum too. Like, I don't know, like really empower yourself to really branch out where you can, wherever you can. So even if you don't have a travel experience coming up, we all have a weekend. So really, you can even apply these questions that I just told you to the weekend. What are you going to do for that weekend that's going to help you get closer to that 2.0 version of yourself? Okay? That's a way that you can reinvent yourself now in this moment. Maybe not. If it's not the weekend, then maybe not now. But the other way you can do this now in this moment is really taking into account, what does that 2.0 version of me look like? What is she doing now that I can also do now to get me closer to her? Does that make sense? I know it does. Okay. So that's it for this week's live stream. I hope this helped. Let me know if y'all have any questions, especially for those of y'all who are on my email list. Let me know in the comments below if I need to clear up anything, and I will definitely try to do that at some point. So I love y'all so much. I'll see y'all later. Peace.